We have started now. My name is Yash Dubal from A Y J Solicitors. Please stay tuned, grab something to make a note with. Just to let you know, we'll send out this webinar handouts. So if you cannot make detailed notes, please do not worry. Just very quick question. Can you guys hear me loud and clear? If you can just say yes in the chat box, just 2 to 3 of you, that'd be helpful. Can you hear me? Please, if you can say yes, that'd be great. Hello? Oh, great. I'm getting now response. Thank you, Satya and Anthony, Surendra, Sanjay. Thank you. Nidhi, Becky, thank you so much. Great. So just last week, I did a very similar webinar on tier 2 sponsor license. And the response was great. We had a very little hiccup about some technology, and we we lost half of the audience. Some of you might be those lost audience. Here we are again. I will now today cover the most important part of it, and the majority of audience wanted to know about the document checklist, the documents required to get sponsor license, and what it takes to get the sponsor license. How long does it take? So we'll just get into the nitty-gritty more. And I like to complete this in next 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and then I want to offer all of you as much as possible time to answer any question you might have today. So please drop your question in this chat box as soon as it comes on your top of your head. So, I'll pick those questions, and I want to answer as many possible questions today before 6 o'clock. And it's free webinar. And I'm going to put 10 years of my experience, expertise, and knowledge getting sponsor license for many hundred companies. It's the best time for immigration, probably from 1st January 2021. Immigration is going to be much more relaxed, and it will open up from 1st January 2021 for sure. Now I can see 2 messages. 2 of you cannot hear. Now my question is, I had a similar issue last time, and I don't want to disturb rest of you. If you rest of them can hear me, but not just 2 of you, Mitul and Thotapalli, Mr. Thotapalli. So if anybody can continue hearing me, please do let me know. Can't hear. I know, Mr. Thotapalli, you can't hear me. Ajmal, Charu, Eli, Atik, can you still hear me? Are you still with me? Hello? Okay, Atik said he can hear me. And Satya can hear. So Surendra, Charu can hear me. Oh, great. It is technology, and I'm so sorry if this is causing you trouble. But let's start with the webinar now. I'll go to my next slide. So this is about me, where I'm coming from. So I came to UK in 2003 with just £1,500 I borrowed from my cousin. Very generous cousin, as a student with no context, no expertise, and I wasted literally 5 years in the UK doing some awkward jobs. I then started the immigration law firm in 2008 from literally a back of my bedroom, and now today we have become a multi-award winning legal 500 leading immigration law firm. And just to share the best news of the day for me is we have retained our legal 500 status one more time this year as well. Just today I've received this good news. We have 1,000+ good reviews, and I've completed London Marathon, and now I'm supporting a charity called Pratham UK, to help underprivileged children in India for education. So this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm coming from. Um, and I had a question from a client yesterday. He said, "Oh, if you don't mind, can I ask you a question? Why do you charge a little bit more fees than the other service provider?" And the example I gave it to them is, say, look, if you have issue, if you have fractured your finger and you want to get it fixed, your finger, through a surgeon, you have to get it the surgery done. So there are three options. One option is you go to a general surgeon who can do surgery. Then you have orthopedic surgeon who can do orthopedic surgery for any part of the body. And then you have another surgeon who is orthopedic surgeon who is specialized in hand surgery. So one of my friend is hand surgeon in India, orthopedic surgeon, and he does only hand surgery for orthopedic. So I said, look, I am kind of a hand surgeon, orthopedic hand surgeon in immigration, specialized in sponsor license. So this is why we are who we are. So that's my specialty, sponsor license. Ask me anything about sponsor license, I will most likely answer your question today from top of my head. So what is sponsor license? Sponsor license is the permission granted by the Home Office to an employer to hire skilled national from overseas. That means non-EA as of now, but the rest of the world from 1st January 2021. We all know from 31st December 2020, free movement ends. What it means is any European national, they would not have automatic right to come and work in the UK from 1st January 2021. What it means, if they are skilled worker, they would need sponsorship. And any employer who wants to recruit them need a sponsor license. So that sponsor license is a specific permission. And if you have that, you can recruit non-overseas worker from 1st January 2021 is rest of the world. Now, why should you apply? You should apply for sponsor license only if you find it difficult to recruit local staff in the UK. And all of us know if we have reliable, productive, cost-effective, skilled staff, that increases stability in the business, and hopefully it may result in increased profitability for you. And if that is the reason, you should apply for sponsor license. Now, the UK government is encouraging any employer, whoever is anticipating hiring staff, skilled staff from overseas, that includes EU as well, to apply for sponsor license now, right? So you do not need great deal of evidence to prove that there is no skilled staff. Even you don't need to run an arrest labor market test anymore. The small reason saying, look, with the view of Brexit, we anticipate hiring non-EU overseas staff from January 2021 with the view of preparing for Brexit. We need license, and there is a possibility we'll get license. Of course, it's not as easy as I just said. It's slightly challenging, not too challenging as well. And my job today is to make it easier for you. And this is exactly what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to create confidence and clarity that any business, if you are a genuine business, having a lawful trading presence in the UK, and if you need to hire skilled staff from overseas, you can apply for sponsor license now and get one within 6 to 8 weeks. So who could be sponsored from 1st January 2021? We are almost in end of September. So October, November, December, we have 3 months to go for this year, and then we'll be in Brexit era now. So let's focus on that. From 1st January 2021, any job offer at RQF level 3, that means at A level or equivalent, or on shortage occupation list, will qualify for sponsorship. Now, MAC, which is a Migration Advisory Committee, has recommended yesterday to add many more occupation to add on to shortage occupation list. Very interesting recommendation, and I was interviewed by a radio station this morning seeking my opinion on it. What do I think of that? I think it's brilliant idea, having expanded shortage occupation list where MAC has recognized there is a potential skill shortage post-Brexit. Now, what they have missed, I believe, is to include carers on the shortage occupation list. And the reason they cannot do it because carers are lower skill staff as of now from the MAC point of view. What they can do is potential, and this is what I was speaking on the radio, and I also wrote in a piece of article in a newspaper this morning. What they can do is they can reclassify the carer job code to NQF level 3, and then they can add them onto shortage occupation list. What will happen then is the staff, they can bring in overseas skilled staff with 20,480 pounds per annum salary rather than paying them 25,600 salary. So when you get the handout, you will get this copy in PDF, and you will have this link as well, the link I have mentioned here. This link will help you to search through the job title if they do fit or do not fit into RQF level 3 or not. As of now, as we speak, still RQF level 6, which means graduate level position, only qualifies for sponsorship. But from January 2021, it will be RQF level 3. Now, your question is, what is RQF level 3 precisely? So what you need to do is, when you get the link, it's called Appendix J, Code of Practice for Skill Work. You click that link, open the entire document. There is a button called Open All. Then you search through a keyword. Let's say you search a keyword called sales manager or sales, and then you can sales assistant and all that. So you could sponsor sales manager. You can sponsor senior sales executive. You can even sponsor shopkeeper. Yes, you can even sponsor shopkeeper in a convenience store. You can even sponsor personal assistant. And the reason I'm mentioning this job role is to give you a hint and an idea as to how this new sponsorship system will work. So you can imagine majority of job role might qualify for RQF level 3, majority, unless they are lower skill. Of course, you cannot sponsor cleaners and carers even today, but shopkeeper, and any managerial position, restaurant manager can be sponsored. Even head waiter can be sponsored in a restaurant. Now, car mechanics can be sponsored. So I'm just throwing this few job titles just to give you an idea that there will be a big shift in sponsorship from 1st January 2021. And that's all. This is all I want to say. Now, before we get into how to get the sponsor license, and if you are an employer today on this webinar, why would you sponsor someone? I mean, you will only sponsor someone if you do not find right skilled staff in the UK. Now, if you bring someone from overseas, it does cost significant amount of investment when you sponsor in the home office fees. And it's very significant. And this is why I want to tackle this point first before we get into it. If you think this is not encouraging or doesn't make commercial sense for you, then you might probably want to leave this webinar and say, look, this is not for me. And so I want to deal with that first. So sponsor license application fees is £536 for any small organization. If it's medium or large, you pay £1,476. But once you get the sponsor license, and when you sponsor someone from overseas, you also need to pay immigration skill charge. As of now, for small companies, £364. But then it is increasing, and it will increase from 1st January 2021 to £1,000 per year per person. So what it means is, and then let's discuss about this tier 2 fees as well. So for 3 years, average is £610, and for 5 years is £1,220. Now, and then on top of that, you have to pay immigration health surcharge, which will be increased to some £672 per year from October 2020. So you can imagine, there is a huge cost to the employer and employee. Now, who will be bearing this cost? I'm coming back to the total cost after this slide. Now, I want to clarify, because there is a misconception who should bear and who should pay what fees. Employee cannot and should not pay immigration skill charge. Immigration skill charge and the sponsor license application fee should be paid by the employer. Rest of the fees can be paid by the employee, who is the migrant worker. Okay. Now let's look at the total cost. The total cost is, if you sponsor one migrant worker from 1st January 2021, one migrant worker will cost £536 for the sponsor license, £199 for the CUS assignment, and £5,000 in fees for immigration skill charge. So that is £5,735. The migrant will pay 3,220. So total, it is going to be around £8,955, and this will increase because there is also a potential significant increase in IHS. So let's say 9,000 plus. So when you hire somebody for 5 years, it's about £9,000. You are adding a cost of approximately £2,000 per year per person for each migrant. Now, each dependent is 3,000 something, right, for 5 years. So this is what you need to bear in mind. So there is an additional cost when you sponsor foreign workers. Now, how? This is what you want to know today, right? How to apply for sponsor license, how to get a sponsor license, and this is a pure knowledge, pure experience, and pure expertise. Please don't worry about it. I'm gonna touch each and every point, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you will get these handouts in email after we finish this webinar. And these handouts have a link, and you can click on each link, and you will find the right document to read through for you to do the application yourself, in case if you want to do it. So the first step is you need to collect the right documents. I will cover the easy 4 documents you can collect to make the sponsor license application in the next slide, right? There are 7 documents I will advise and provide you with an example with, and you just need to pick the top 4, the easy 4 for you. And these all 7 documents, I believe, are easy to obtain for any business. Once you have the right document, what you need to make sure is you have to have a proper compliance system in place. When you get a sponsor license, Home Office expects you to have an appropriate compliance system to discharge your sponsorship duties. Now, what is the sponsorship duties, right? So that is the next question, and I will cover that in my next slide about sponsorship duties as well. Once you understand 1, 2, 3, 4, which is collecting right documents, having a right compliance system in place, and if you have understood sponsorship duties, then you just go online, apply online. And I have included the link of the Home Office website where you can apply online. Documents needed and eligibility details. I will send you this handout and this Appendix A link. This is where you can go and find out a very comprehensive list on the government website, right? All you need is just minimum 4 documents to submit the sponsor license application. But this may vary case by case basis, but won't be a huge difference. Here is the list, and you will get this list in email, right? So this is the list I believe is easier to obtain. Number 1 document, and the most easy, is employer's liability insurance certificate up to £5 million. Then after, you might have a recent business bank statement. Then you might have VAT registration. And you say, look, we are not VAT registered. It's perfectly fine. You can go on to provide an alternate document, which is probably PAYE and account office reference number. But it should be issued by the HMRC, right? A proof of ownership of lease or business premises. So you might have a rent agreement. You might have a lease document. So that'd be helpful. If you are required to produce audited account, if you are required to do an audited account, then you must produce audited account. If you are not required to produce audited account, so as one of the documents, you can supply unaudited signed accounts. But remember, and this is extremely important, you must submit a signed accounts by the accountant, right? And this accountant should be registered by the SCCA or some appropriate regulated body, right? So if you submit without that, your application could be refused. So this is a minor technicality, but again, this is there in the Appendix A. Now, apart from this, let's say you are a restaurant, then you need a specific inspection by the health hygiene, right? So it's a stars on the doors. So you get the stars on the doors. So if you are a restaurant and applying for a license, you cannot apply for license if you do not get the star on the doors, right? So you have to have that. Likewise, let's say you are a care home, you should be regulated, you should be inspected or more, regulated by the CQC. So you need that. So something like that, if you are required by law to be inspected, monitored, or regulated by any specific body, then you need to provide mandatorily the evidence for the same. When you submit, and this is something a majority of companies are not aware of when they submit and try to submit the sponsor license application themselves, is there is a piece of information you must submit at the time of application, otherwise it will be rejected. And it's not too complicated. And again, it's there on the Appendix A, where when you will get the link from us after this webinar, you will find this information. He said, why are you applying for license? And he said, oh, why are you applying for license? As I said earlier in the early part of this webinar, the one of the reason I could think of for the majority of business is with a view of Brexit. We want to be prepared to hire EU skilled staff only if you anticipate genuinely. And for that reason, we need license. That's a good enough reason. I mean, it doesn't need to be like 5 pages of explanation, but it should be reasonable, plausible explanation. Then after, whatever the sector you operate in, you just mention that. Your opening hours you need to mention. You need to provide an organization chart detailing owners and the employees on that. And of course, if you have any vacant position, you think you will hire a potential migrant worker, then you just talk about that as well. Now, when you apply for sponsor license, this is very important, you have to have key personnel. Now, there are three major position three major role you need to fill in, and these three role can be filled by just one person. So we have managed to get license for companies with 0 employee to 500 employees. Now, when we talk about 0 employee company, they are the director, owner, and that's all, right? And let's say they are an IT company with 150,000 turnover, and they want to apply for sponsor license because now the director, he is getting more and more projects, he cannot deliver himself, he needs some skilled staff to come and work. So he said, okay, I need sponsor license. It's difficult for me to find a right software engineer in UK. I found right one. Is this person is under shortage occupation? I don't need to advertise the position. Can you help me get the license? Of course we can help. So we go on to apply for license. The director, he will become key personal authorizing officer and key contact for the home office, right? So authorizing officer is the most important role. They should be given to someone very senior, ideally someone who is involved in recruitment and or HR. And someone for key contact is a main point of contact of the home office. A legal representative can undertake this role as well. Level 1 user will have access to sponsorship management system. So once you apply for license and once you get the license, home office will give you an online user ID and password to manage this license online, and it's called sponsorship management system. In short form, we call it SMS. Now, once you have that SMS, only level 1 user can access it, nobody else. So everyone, whoever wants to access the SMS should have their unique user ID and password. What it means, let's say you are a company, you instruct us to get your license, we get you the license. As a legal representative, even with your authorization, we cannot have user ID and password of yours to access the SMS. You suppose not to, and you should not share this SMS user ID and password with anybody. You cannot and you should not. So for an example, let's say senior member of staff is level 1 user on the SMS, and the director says, hey, can I have this user ID password because I want to check something? And the answer is no. The director, if they want to access the SMS, they have to order and request online their own user ID and password. This is how it works, and it's very strict. If home office was to find that you are sharing your user ID password with somebody else, they have a right to suspend and to revoke your sponsor license. So it's a very serious offense. So that's level 1. And you guys might have a question. Feel free to ask me any question you might have right now. You can start dropping your question now while we are live, and I will answer those questions as soon as we finish this presentation. Should not take too long now. Happy to help. Now, how to prepare for the home office inspection visit? So let's say you have a right document, you have a right compliance system, right? You have understood your sponsorship duties, you have submitted your application online. Now, home office go on to write you an email, say, dear so-and-so, thank you very much for your application. We need to come and review your compliance system. We want to make sure whether you could comply with your sponsorship duties or not. That is called a pre-license home office visit, right? And how do you prepare for that? This is very crucial. And I don't see many lawyers talking about it, because 70% applications, and in our case 95% applications gets approved without sponsor license visit. And the fact that they get approved so quickly doesn't mean you do not need to comply with your sponsorship duties. So what we do is, we don't only help you to get the license. At the time of applying for license, what we do is, we prepare you for your compliance and compliance audit right now. And the way we prepare is, in our package, in our entire package, we get the sponsor, we help you getting the sponsor license, we provide you template with the policy and procedure, which it's kind of a plug and play template. You can use it straight away, right? And then we run a mock home office audit now to prepare you for the potential visit now or later. So let's say if you don't get the home office visit now, but it is mandatory for you to be ready for the home office visit anytime. They can come announced or they can come unannounced, and you have to be ready for it anytime. So when we help our client to get the sponsor license, we prepare them for this visit to answer anytime, literally anytime. So my clients, they will be ready whenever home office was to come, they will be ready to answer the home office. This is how we prepare. So that's all inclusive. Now, you ask me questions, how do you do that? And the way we do it, and I will briefly touch each and every point. So please bear with me. So number 1 is, home office, when they come for a visit, they ask a question: why do you need a sponsor license? And the reason they ask a question is to see if you really know why you applied for sponsor license, or was it just the lawyer who prepared this application and you know nothing about it. As a director, as an owner, as a management of the business, onus is on you to speak with the home office and convince them as to why you need a sponsor license. If you fail to explain, there's a potential refusal there. And then, so you have to come up with, of course, a reasonable, genuine explanation. It most likely, of course, it will corroborate with your cover letter, which you have submitted to the home office. But you have to be loud and clear, simple, precise, and correct in terms of your need of having sponsor license. Then after the question, how would you make sure of not employing illegal migrants? Or let's say, how would you prevent illegal employment? What policy and procedure do you have in place? And the answer is very simple. And the answer is, you say, we will do right to work checks on all of our employees before they start employment. It takes 10 seconds. It's a 10-second answer. You don't need to talk half an hour explaining the policy and procedure. It's just 10-second answer. And the answer is, we will run a right to work check on all our employees before and I will just put the before in the inverted comma, comma start, comma end before they start the employment. You must check right to work documents for all your employees before they start employment. And how do you do that right to work check? You obtain original document, you check, and then you copy. This is the process. It's called OCC, obtain, check, copy. This is how you do right to work document, right to work checks on all your employees before they start employment. You go on to say, yes, look, I have 5, 10, 15 employees. We haven't done that yet. No problem. Do it now. You do the right to work checks now properly as advised by the Home Office. If you even search on Google right to work document checklist, GOV, you will find the right link, right documents. If you need, you can email us, email my team. They will provide you the PDF, right to work document checklist from the Home Office. Just follow that. Simple as that. You take the original passport, you review it, copy it, and retain the copy, right? That's how you do the right to work checks. And you must do that. Now, it can get a little bit complicated. So let's say someone is a visa national. Let's say on a student visa is expired now. They have submitted for their application. Application is pending, but they have submitted their application in time before the visa expiry. Then you need to do employer checking service called ECS. And you can again find that on government website. That's easy. But these are like a less likely scenario. The more likely scenario is someone will come to you, probably British, EU national or visa national with proper right to work. You check their passport, check their visa, check their BRP. If it's BRP, then you must copy front and back side of the BRP, not just front. You must copy front and back side of the BRP, right? So front and back of the BRP, you retain that. The second thing you can do is you have to, if they are visa national, you need to create a reminder in your calendar, right? It can be any sort of reminder, but the most easier, because we all use emails these days, and any email service provider, they provide calendar service. Might be Outlook, might be Gmail, it can be Yahoo, Hotmail, whatever it might be. So every email service provider, if you are using for business purpose, any email you use, it's so easy for you to go to the calendar service of that email service provider and just create a reminder of their visa expiry or of your employee's visa expiry a month in advance. So if someone's visas expire on 30th of September, you just create a reminder at least in August. Just a month ahead, just put a reminder, go to the diary, say, look, XYZ's visa is expiring on so-and-so date. Simple as that. So you do OCC, obtain, check, copy documents, right to work document checks, and then you create a reminder of their visa expiry. So when I go and train my clients for sponsorship license, I said there are 4 main elements. One is right to work checks. If you know what it is, you are 25% have passed your compliance audit. 25%. I have explained you how to pass 25% of your compliance audit right now on this webinar. The second limb of compliance is how would you maintain historical contact details of your sponsored worker. So if you have any sponsored worker, then you ought to keep their historical contact details. What it means is if they change their address or contact details, do not overwrite it. You can create a simple spreadsheet, keep recording their address history, and you retain the old address as well. So they should notify you of the change of address. You make a note in spreadsheet, or if you are a very large organization, you might have some sort of software. You might have some sort of software to retain this. Some of the HR software I am aware of, they rewrite the address. Now, if that is what it does, then you would be in breach of your sponsorship duties. And that might lead to a suspension or revocation of license. So you can imagine how easy it is to even lose the license. So please bear in mind, maintain historical contact details. Now, when you say we maintain this spreadsheet, how would your employee know that they need to let you know of the change of their contact details? And the way you can discharge this duty is by putting a note or by putting in their employment contract, or putting into a notice to them via email, or putting that in their employee handbook. Say, should you change your contact details, you ought to inform the employer, and we will then go on to update our record. This is how you can discharge your duties of maintaining historical contact details. Now we are done at least 50% of the compliance. The third limb is maintaining daily attendance and absences. So When you hire any sponsored worker, it is your duty to maintain their attendance during working hours and their absences while they're working with you. Again, simple. You can use a spreadsheet, or you might have a HR software to do that. If you maintain daily attendance and absences, you are fine. 75% is done. The last, not the least, is you have to make sure that you pay their annual leave, right? Make sure you pay their annual leave. You have to pay statutory sick pay, and you have to make sure you also adhere to the law of the land, which is such as employment law or health and safety, right? If you miss that, you might not get the license, or you might lose the license. Most importantly, I have seen employers, they do not carry out DBS check when they're supposed to. Let's say if the business is working with young children, or they're working with vulnerable people, they are by law obliged to carry out DBS checks. If they don't do it, they might lose the license, right? So that's very serious. So meet any statutory requirement, right? If you do that, you will be fine. Ensure you have up-to-date knowledge of your sponsorship duties. What is that? We do provide a ready template of sponsorship duties. If you pull out that, say, look, here is the template. This is my sponsorship reporting duties. I know about it, and you are done with that, right? Just tick the box. But say, look, I don't have templates. It's fine. You need to go on to a compliance link, which I will be sending in this handout. It would be there in the first 4 links, which I've just mentioned in previous slides. It's there. You can check it out there, reporting duties as well yourself. Just to give you an example, what it means is, let's say someone doesn't start working with you on the first day of their sponsorship, then you need to report to the Home Office within 10 working days. If they change their job title, you need to report to the Home Office within 10 working days. If they leave your business, if they leave the employment, you need to report to the Home Office, terminating their sponsorship within 10 working days. These are some example of your reporting duties. So again, it's not too complicated, but you need to bear in mind, you need to appoint and discharge these duties to somebody, a senior person in your business. If it's not a very big business, it's a small team, the director or the senior manager can take over these reporting duties. Now, when you instruct us, if you say, look, I can't be bothered about the sponsorship duties, I have many other tasks to do in my business, I have a big operations to run, and my ambition is to become the best business, not the best immigration lawyer, no problem. You can outsource all these reporting duties to us. All you have to drop us an email and we'll report to the Home Office, having our user ID password on your SMS with your permission. We can do that too. Now, how long does it take? Simple question, and I do this question now and then. It takes average 6 to 8 weeks, and as less as 2 weeks as well. I have a record of submitting sponsor license and getting sponsor license within a week. We have managed to do that. So it's not impossible. But average, let's say 6 to 8 weeks time. Sometimes if it's complex, might take longer than that. If Home Office wants to come and visit your business for pre-license visit, due to pandemic, it might take some time. It might take, let's say, 3 to 4 months. This pandemic scenario, otherwise it's 6 to 8 weeks. And I believe Home Office will increase their resources, because in very last months of this year, it is expected to have a many sponsor license application. And the reason I will say that is, we have about 31,000 sponsors on sponsor register today, about 31,000 today, right? There has not been a significant increase throughout this year, though we know there is a Brexit and an end of free movement by end of this year. So what will happen? The people likewise yourself, we have few attendees now. You are listening to this because you want to apply for sponsor license. There will be a huge rush by end of this year. So there will be a bottleneck. Home Office might not cope up with the influx of applications. I believe, and I hope so, they have anticipated this, and probably they will increase their resources by end of this year. But I can imagine there will be a huge rush applying for sponsor license late part of this year. So if you want to apply for license, apply now, right? Take the advantage of the system. Now, I want to now cover some facts and myths about sponsor license very quickly, because I do hear this now and then for last 10 years. Oh, do I need minimum turnover? Do I need minimum staff? Or do I need to have been trading for minimum number of years? The answer is no. It's a myth, right? You don't need to have a minimum turnover. You do not have to have a minimum number of staff. You do not need to have a trading for minimum number of years. So I say, oh, wow. So what do I need? So if I have a genuine business, trading business, can I apply for license? Answer is yes, as long as it's a genuine trading business and there is a genuine vacancy and you can genuinely afford the new recruited staff. So this is how do I prove that? Oh, I'm a very brand new business. So let's say you are a brand new IT company and there is a potential contract of, let's say, £150,000. And if you are hiring somebody for £30,000, it does make commercial sense to me. So if you provide relevant evidence, I think we are good to go for submitting sponsor license application. This is how it works. So it's all about like logical sense. As long as it's reasonable, plausible, you can apply for sponsor license. Myth number 2 is, oh, if I was to hire someone at level 6 or level 3, do they have to have that qualification? Let's say graduate level qualification or A level qualification. The answer is no. It's not about the qualification. It's more about the job role. The job role is at level 6, graduate level position. The job role is as A level position. They might not have this degree. So let's say someone is being sponsored as a business development manager, which is NQF level 6 position, but they might not have bachelor's degree. It's perfectly fine as long as they have a right skill and right experience. They might not have qualification. So either you have a skill, qualification, experience requirement met, and you can get the sponsorship done. Now, can I share my user ID password with my legal representative? The answer is no, right? Can I share my email address with anyone I authorize? No, you cannot share your email address with anybody. What it means is your email cannot be accessed by anybody. The email you will be using for sponsor licensing, right? So the email address you provide to the Home Office for sponsor license, you must not have anybody else access to it, right? This is what it means. Do not provide access of this email to anyone, not to your PA, not to your spouse, not to your family member. The last myth is, this is very interesting. People say, Home Office is very irrational. Home Office is very unreasonable. My experience is Home Office is very reasonable and they are very rational. And for me, they have been very, very, very helpful till date. So our record is, what we do is, if any sponsor license holder, they get into trouble in breach of their sponsorship duties, they get suspension, they get revocation of sponsor license, having few migrant workers on the book. And if they lose them, they would have a huge loss to their business. We managed to reinstate those revoked and suspended sponsor license. My experience says Home Office is very, very reasonable, very rational. They accept, in majority of our representation, they accept our submission, they accept the mitigating circumstances, they go on to reinstate these licenses. And for this reason, I believe, and this is not just one example, I have many examples. I have worked with the Home Office and I found them very reasonable, very rational body to work with, very nice people to work with. That's my experience. So I don't buy the argument that they are unreasonable or irrational. Now, the facts, this is very important. And you must have a minimum of one SMS user who is a settled worker. So if someone is applying for sponsor license, they are migrant, they have to have a settled worker unless exception applies. So if someone is on tier 1 entrepreneur visa or sole representative visa, they do not need settled SMS user because they are exempt. But majority cases, you need one SMS user, which is a sponsorship management system user who is a settled worker. So either British, EU as of now, but then it will become overseas as well. So settled and British, someone who is settled in the UK. The fact number 2 is SMS user must not assign COS to themselves or assign a CS to a close relative or partner. So don't get the license and then say, okay, now let me sponsor myself. You can't do that. And you cannot say, oh yeah, this is my brother, my sister, let me assign COS. You cannot do that, right? That's not allowed. That's prohibited within the policy guidance. If you do that, your license could be suspended or revoked. The fact number 3 is, and the reason I'm covering this is like, these are like very simple to miss points and people do make mistakes. And I have seen many companies coming to me, making these mistakes, getting suspension, getting revoked, and then we go on to charge many £1,000 in our fees and go on to save the license. I don't want to do that for you. So please listen to these facts and myths. And again, as I said, you will get this in handouts to help you guys not to make these mistakes. So if you are You can still assign COS to a family member, but that has to be assigned by somebody else, not yourself. And if you are doing it, then you need to be disclosed to the Home Office that the COS being assigned is to a family member of someone in the sponsor organization. As long as you can disclose that. So I have done an application, I remember, was some financial company owned by a father and sponsored his daughter, but then they had another senior manager who was settled. And of course, when we prepared sponsor license application, assigned COs, we disclosed this to the Home Office, say, look, a daughter who is on tier 4 visa is being sponsored, the company is owned by father, and we got the tier 2. So it's something not impossible, but of course, you need to bear in mind the compliance and your sponsorship duties. As long as you are honest, transparent, and reasonable, and there is a genuine need in the business, and the person who is being sponsored has a right skill set, right experience, and as long as it's genuine, I would not be bothered about this sponsorship. We can make this happen. The last fact I want to cover is, if your sponsor license application is to be valid, you must send all the documents within 5 working days. If you don't do that, it will be rejected. Now, one more important point I want to mention is, if the Home Office was to visit your company pre-license, and if they found that you are not compliant with your sponsorship duties, you will not only get refusal of your sponsor license application, but there will be a cooling off period for 6 months. What it means is you cannot reapply for next 6 months, right? So it's quite serious. I am providing you all links for you to prepare yourself for compliance. But in case if you cannot, always contact us and we'll be happy to help. Now, in my view, this is again interesting. People do ask question, oh, what is happening after Brexit? What is happening after Brexit on tier 2? So these are the 4 or 5 main key changes I believe will happen. Number one is there is no cap in bringing sponsored workers, right? So as of now, it's 20,800. It will come off. So there is no more cap. There will be unlimited immigration as long as there is a genuine need, and the person who is coming over has a right skill, qualification, experience required to perform the job role, and you pay the appropriate salary. So no caps, no rest labor market test. What it means is, up until now, even in today's date, if you want to sponsor someone from overseas, unless exemption applies, you need to run the advertisement for 28 days. And after advertisement, if you do not find a appropriate settled staff, then only you can sponsor non-EU migrant under tier 2 route, right? So that's called rest labor market test. It is going off. This is huge change. And I'm sure it will be welcomed by many sponsors. It's the most complicated requirement. And I have seen many sponsor license losing their license just because of not meeting the RLMT requirement on a minute technicality. I have seen it. People losing their licenses just because of this RLMT. And it's very complex. And the good news is going off now of the requirement. It's the best news one sponsor can have. So it's no RLMT is making it much more easier to hire staff from overseas. The next point is, of course, rather at RQF level 6, you can bring people for job role for RQF level 3. And to give you a hint, like kind of job roles you can sponsor is like shopkeeper, personal assistant, sales, any sales job role, any managerial job role in any business can be sponsored, right? Butchers can be sponsored. Car mechanics can be sponsored. Bricklayers can be sponsored. Literally bricklayers can be sponsored. Now, so this is the kind of sponsor we are talking about. These bricklayers are recommended to add on to shortage occupation list just yesterday. So let me take my statement back. As of now, no, you can't, even from 1st January. But if the government was to accept the max recommendation of bricklayers being included in shortage occupation list, then bricklayers can be sponsored from 1st January 2021 under sponsorship regime. Most likely, the government will accept the max recommendation to include this onto shortage occupation list. Now, the salary threshold is being reduced from 30,000 to 25,600. You need to ask for more details because it's slightly complicated. If some job role is under shortage occupation, then they can be sponsored for even 20,400, not even 25,600, right? So let's say senior care worker. So if government was to accept max recommendation, including senior care worker and nursing assistant into shortage occupation list, then more likely this job role will qualify for 20,480 pounds per year salary. Healthcare visa. This is the biggest change in this that came into place in August 2020. Healthcare visa is offering a reduced fees to employer and employee. You do not need to pay immigration health surcharge if you qualify for healthcare visa, like nurses, doctor, someone who works with NHS in healthcare with some specific SOC code. So there are specific code, they qualify some specific job role, they qualify for healthcare visa. If you qualify, it's a reduced fees, very little expense, and you can be fast track as well. So Home Office providing specialized support for these visas to be fast track. So this is pro tip, but I will not cover it today. We have a very little time and I want to do a lot of FAQs. Now about us, I've already covered. We are a multi-award winning. We have retained our legal 500 status. Even this year, the news came out today. You can search online, and we have helped probably 4,000 plus clients, mainly sponsor license application, 1,000 plus reviewed on Trustpilot, Google. And if you search on YouTube, you will find few video testimonials as well. You just type AYJ Solicitors in YouTube and you will find us straight away. So if you find it difficult to hire skilled staff in the UK, if you need skilled staff from EU, or if you find this skilled staff overseas, do you need to overcome this skilled staff shortage? Do you need to prepare for potential staff shortage post Brexit? You should apply for sponsor license now. Do you need help? Either you can help yourself with this webinar and the handout you will be getting. In case any query, drop us question and we'll be happy to help. Before you go, we will now do FAQs very quickly. So I have a question. So we'll now go on to FAQs. And I have a question from Sanjay. And Sanjay is asking, I registered my company 1 year back, but have not done any business. Am I eligible to apply for license? Now, the answer to your question, Sanjay, is it trading genuine business? Is it trading? Is it genuine business? And say, no, it's not trading now, but this is what I'm going to do. Okay, great. If you were to run a genuine trading business now, if you have a proper plan in place, and this is how you would be running your business, and for that business to run, if you have a genuine potential vacancy and you might think you might need a staff from overseas, you can apply for sponsor license as long as you have a valid documents. It has to be a genuine trading business, Sanjay. And I think it might be better if you drop us a question. We might have a short conversation later on just for more clarity. If you want to drop question here, please feel free to drop. Anna is asking question, can the obligation to update the employee's contact details be included in the employment contract as a provision? Yes, of course, you can add that. Yes, this is what I was saying. So you can add this obligation in employment contract or employee handbook, or you drop them an email as a notice. I think if you keep an uniform and easy policy procedure that cannot be missed out, Anna, that'd be much more easier. So putting one clause in employment contract, and if you use the same template, is unlikely you will miss this obligation. So it's great, but Anna, same time you have to have a record keeping system as to how you maintain historical contact details. Go on to Gajendra Singh, applied for 2015, refused. Can we apply? Of course, Gajendra, you can apply. You can apply. If your sponsor license application was not refused during last 6 months due to lack of policy and procedure, you can reapply. If it's more than 6 months, you can reapply. So yeah, get in touch with us. Get in touch with us. Drop us a question. Here is the contact details, Gajendra. There is a WhatsApp. We use WhatsApp nowadays. We believe in technology. We use WhatsApp. You WhatsApp messages to my team, or drop us an email at contact@ayjsolicitors.com, Gajendra. We will read through the refusal notice of 2015 if you have a copy of that, Gajendra, and we'll address that in a fresh application, and we'll try and help you to get the tier 2 sponsor license if possible, Gajendra. Hope that helps. Atik, can you help me start from scratch if I'm overseas? Now, Atik, that's a very little information at hand for me. What's your plan? Are you trying to start a business in the UK? How would you invest in a business? Would you be hiring settled staff to expand your business? Would you like to explore other options like sole representative visa, etc., etc.? What's your background? Are you an employee? Are you an employer? Are you a business? I don't know. The best thing I think is if you would drop us an email or a question or a WhatsApp, that'd be great. We can have a short, just provide as much detail as possible in an email at contact@AYJ, or put it on WhatsApp, on the WhatsApp number which is on your screen, and we'll take it from there. Hope that helps, Atik. Manjot Virdi, does it matter if we apply for a sponsor license different to the type of business we are doing? That's nice question. I mean, why would you why would you apply for a license different than the type of your business? So for an example, you are an IT company, of course you will not apply for Minister of Religion, right? If you are an IT company, you apply for tier 2 sponsor license under general category. But if you are a church, let's say if you are a temple, you apply for Minister of Religion. Probably I might not have understood your question clearly. If you want to refresh your question and put it again there, Manjot, I will try and address that question. But of course, when you apply for sponsor license, it is for the business you are running. That's number one. And there has to be a potential genuine job role where you anticipate to hire someone from overseas as of now. That's how it works. I hope I've answered a majority of question. If there is any more question, please drop it into the chat box and I'll answer right now for you. We have 4 more minutes to go before we wrap up this webinar. I hope it was of help to you. If you guys need any help, any support, the contact details are on your screen. You will get this handout, in probably day or two from my team, and we'll be happy to help you. Priti Shah, he says, I registered one company 2 years back. Approximately turnover is 60,000. Am I eligible to apply for license? Yes, of course you can apply for sponsor license, Priti, as long as we can try and understand what is the nature of your business. Why do you think you need a sponsored worker? And how could you afford paying them a salary? And what's your plan forward? We just need to understand that. Once we understand that, Preeti, we will help you to submit a sponsor license application to the Home Office. Is that okay with you, Preeti? I hope I've answered your question. Chirag is asking question, does the sponsor will get PR after 5 years? You mean sponsored worker, right? Chirag, I think you mean to say the sponsored worker will get PR after 5 years. The answer is yes. Under tier 2 general category, tier 2 migrant workers may qualify for ILR in 5 years time. So that's the normal period they get ILR. So that's answer to your question, Chirag. Any other question, guys? Happy to help. If not, I will then take a leave. I will still wait a minute or two to respond to any question you might have. I have covered how to apply sponsor license. I've also mentioned important myths and the facts about applying for sponsor license. and this in this 1 hour I have covered so much, so which is a summary of my last 10 years of experience, right? So it was quite important information, if that was to help you guys. Now, there is a question from Sanjay. I have a registered company but have not started any business. Could I get a license? What's your plan, Sanjay? That's what we need to know. You have registered company. So for an example, we had a client probably 2-3 months back. He registered his brand new IT company just previous month, and before we submitted the application. So he got PAY, registered VAT, registered bank statement, lease agreement, rent agreement with the serviced office. He said, look, this is my IT company. I'm IT consultation experience for 15 years. I need software engineer. I need license. Okay, we got the license. So you've registered company, but what is the purpose of the business? What sort of, you are IT business in IT. Yeah, perfect, Sanjay. If your plan is to run a proper IT consulting business, and if you think you need to hire sponsored worker from overseas due to lack of staff or resources in the UK, and as long as you have affordability to pay staff salary, and as long as there is a genuine proposition, right? You don't need to bring in funds, £100,000. But there has to be some sort of explanation. Then yes, there is a potential application for sponsor license. Manjat Virdi, does it matter if we apply for sponsor license different to the type of business we are doing? If we want to start new areas of business, from IT business to creative sector, Right. So that's your change of purpose of running the business, right? So let's say you apply for a license for a company called ABC Limited. So ABC Limited is IT consulting company, and now they are becoming a creative. So yes, you have to probably report via SMS of the change of the purpose of licensing. It's a very unique question, Manjot. And I haven't seen any employer coming to me and say, look, I'm running a IT business, but now I want to get into creative sector. So I don't know what do you mean by creative sector. So I'm unable to answer, Manjot. Probably we might have a short chat over the call. Probably if you drop an email or WhatsApp, my team probably will arrange a 5-10 minutes call with you, Manjot, if that was to help. And then I might be able to answer your question more precisely. With limited information, probably I might not understand the context of your question and probably would not be able to answer right in correctly. I'm very sorry. I hope this helps. And we are on dot 6 o'clock. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for attending this webinar. I hope it was of some help to you. And thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today, and I hope I added some value to this webinar today for you. Thank you. Bye bye.